So a lot of people might see this and say heavy metal. It's just a bunch of violent noise, just a bunch of crazy kids running around going, Satan. That's not it. Heavy metal has even been associated with some of the most violent crimes in American history, but it's not all about violence. There's a deeper meaning behind all the guttural riffs and vocals that you hear on the new Cannibal Corpse record. My name is Tristan Collier, and I've been listening to this music my whole life, and I've been verbally defending it that whole time because it's been talked down upon and has been looked at wrongly. And even people might say that it causes people to be violent or that it, invokes violence in people. And let me tell you this, I'm 26 years old. I've never been in a fight in my whole life, never committed a violent crime or never wanted to commit a violent crime. And I've been listening to death metal since I was 10 years old or even more than that. So it doesn't incite violence. It's not just a violent type of music. And really, it's no worse than the new Halloween movie that's coming out that a lot of y'all are going to be first in line to see whenever it comes out. But yeah, you're going to put down heavy metal. In fact, Nick Holmes, from the lead singer of the Swedish heavy metal band, Bloodbath, told the BBC News one time that their lyrics are, quote, basically an oral version of an 80s horror movie, and that the majority of death metal fans are intelligent, thoughtful people who just have a passion for this type of music. It's the equivalent of people that are super into horror movies or battle reenactments. It's all about the same thing. And I know that death metal comes across as very violent, very chaotic. It's a very extreme form of music, but it's a lot deeper. There's a lot more meaning to it. And even if it is violent, even if the lyrics are violent, it's no worse than Scream or The Devil's Rejects or something like that. There's also more lyrics in heavy metal music and death metal music that aren't violent. And some people that do know anything about death metal that are watching this might say, okay, what do you think about a band like Cannibal Corpse? And yes, their lyrics are very violent. Most of their lyrics are violent. I will give you that. But there are a lot more bands that their lyrics aren't violent. They're more meaningful. They come from the heart, or they come from something within the person that's writing them. Take, for instance, the Florida down-tempo metal band Traitors and their song Phantasm. It's about the lyricist and the vocalist, his fight within himself and his sleep paralysis. I'll give you an example of some of his lyrics for that song is, I wake up exhausted with pain in my joints, attacked again by my illusion, the rod of arrogance brought out by this lucid phantasm. Waking up and my body starts to spasm. Then my body's paralyzed and I'm staring in the eyes of something so dark that I could never fathom. Now, while that sounds dark and while that sounds very, macabre and everything like that, it's not violent. It's coming from, a personal point of the lyricist in this band. And I would even go as far as to say that metal is almost motivational in the fact of, if you're going through something and you hear a song and that lyricist or those lyrics are about something that you're going through, then you don't feel alone. You don't feel like you're by yourself, like you're the only one going through it, because you're not. In fact, writer Aaron Lockhart said, quote, metal bands scream for their fans so that their fans don't have to. And I love that quote because that's true. A lot of metal comes from within, comes from the soul, and comes from the pain or anything that you're feeling inside, happiness, anger, pain, or anything. And then it's also more about the music a lot of times in this form of music than the lyrical content. With pop, with country, with rap, and the list can go on. It's very lyrically driven. With metal, heavy metal music, it's very music driven. The music takes over instead of any of the lyrical content. In fact, you could have a 10-minute long death metal song that only has 3 lines of lyrics in it. I was in a band that was like that. Or you take a band called Animals as Leaders. They're a math metal band and they're instrumental, meaning there's no lyrics, there's no vocalist, it's just music. It's nothing but guitar riffs and amazing music. So that's all it is. And the music drives the whole thing. So whether it's a Dimebag Darrell solo from Pantera, or whether it's a Tony Iommi evil riff from Black Sabbath, that's the soul of this music. Not the lyrics, but the music and the guitar and the riffs. But when you throw in the vocals, some people, that's what throws a lot of people off. Okay. My dad would even come to me and say, well, I really like the music, but I can't stand all that screaming and hollering. And I get it. But then some people come to me and say, well, screaming doesn't take talent. Yes, it does. It 100% does. It's just like playing guitar or playing drums or playing bass or whatever, piano. I don't care. It takes time and effort. It takes talent. It takes a lot of practice. And Jaime Vendrea, he says that done right, metal vocals feel like a vocal cord massage. It feels amazing if you do it right. Okay. All proper metal screaming is about adjusting the correct closure of the vocal cords and some narrowing above them. So you take the top of the palate, the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth, and everything like that. And depends on how your airwaves are going and everything like that, is depending on how your scream sounds. It's not just noise. It's not just a fat, sweaty guy with a microphone going up there and doing Cookie Monster impressions. There's a lot more that goes into metal screaming than just, getting up there and, like I said, doing Cookie Monster impressions. So in conclusion, there's a lot more to this huge genre of music than actually meets the eye. We're not just trying to go around kill people. In fact, it's more of a family. It's a very bonding, and it feels like you belong to something when you're a fan of heavy metal music. And it's just like any other form of music. It's not violence, it's art. So even though I know some of you might not go out and buy the next cattle decapitation record just because I said something about it, because it is a very extreme form of music, when somebody talks about it now, you can at least listen to them and not be prejudiced or not, write it off or just scoff about it. Because now you know more of why heavy metal is not violent. And when you see somebody walking down the street with long hair and a death metal band t-shirt on, don't be scared. Don't walk the other way. We're not going to rob you. We're not going to beat you up. We're not mean. Come say hey to us. I promise. Even though we smell bad, we won't bite.